Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video today I want to have a chat with you guys about pensions. So, are you thinking about it, or you've not thought about it, or you have a mindset that you'll never make it to pension age, so what's the point? I've heard all of that. I know people in my personal sort of space, so friends and close friends or friends of friends, where they have got no plans for a pension at all. There's one couple that I know, they've got no pension in place at all, and they are late on in life. So yeah, it's going to be it is what it is situation. So like I said, for me, I think pensions are I think it's really important. I think it's one of the most important things, but it's one of the most forgotten things. I see so many people where I go to them and they either haven't thought about it, they haven't planned properly, or they were at a pension point where, so I've got customers that are in the late 80s, so they've been retired like 20-25 years, and where they took their state pension and that was the only thing they had place in as a married couple, so they had two pensions coming in. Back 20 years ago, you probably could live okay off the state pension, but you only have to look about how much things have gone up in price in 5 years, that it's just not possible. And especially if they're now on their own and they've only got one pension coming in, it's really touch and go. Don't get me wrong, there's people out there that are pensioners that are tight, just the same as people my age that are tight. They live in a house, they'll do whatever they can to save money. Every penny is a prisoner, and as such they all have it where they're happy for us to sort of go without. Oh well, I need a discount, all that. But then there is people that are pensioners that they are asking for a pensioner's rate or a pensioner's discount because that extra £5 or whatever it is, that's the difference for them. That's them having better quality of life, let's just say. That's the difference. So I do think it's so important to think about it. I really do. I think about it now, sooner rather than later, because time marches on and time goes so blooming quickly, and the last thing you want is to get it where you haven't thought about it and then, well, for want of a better term, you're hooped. You really are. So think about it, guys. I would say first port of call is the best value for pension is definitely the state pension. Make sure you pay your stamp, make sure you're up to date on that. The next thing I would say is go on to, I think Martin Lewis has got one, and quite a few places have got one, where it's a pension calculator. So you put in all your details, and then what the pension calculator will do is it will give you your rough sort, and so it'll bear in mind what pension pots you've got into place, what the government pension will be at that point when you do retire, and it'll give you a rough breakdown on what you'll be able to get as a pensioner. Now when I did mine, it was harrowing. It was something where it was terrible. It really was. Obviously to be expected that you've got less bills when you get older, potentially, but looking at how people are now, where they're renting now, they could be renting when they're retired opposed to when they've been mortgaged, and then it could be mortgage free when they're retirement, but you've still got bills, council tax, a vehicle if you've got one, cost of living, and look at that, look how much things have gone up in the past 5 years. What's it going to be like when you get to retirement age? Who knows is the answer. So I'm going to, like I said, think about your pension. So first thing is private pension. Try and put in what you can, as often as you can. If you have, out your business part, if you have a few £100 left over, a little bit of money, just wing it in there, where £200 or whatever might not make the difference, but if you can chuck that in and put a little bit more, do it. I would say definitely look at, you know, other forms of sort of savings pots. So I've got a lifetime ISA, so if memory serves, you put in £4,000 and then the government puts in 25%, so you get £5,000. Also there's, you know, normally a decent amount of interest with that. So how I look at it is, if I can put the full £4,000 in and then times that by, so I'm 35, so times that by another 35, well, another 30, so when I'm getting 65, I think you can withdraw it a little bit earlier, but anyway, basically 30 times 5 is 150, you know, 150 grand, you know. So if I can keep up with that, that's going towards a good pot, really, towards when you retire. And obviously with interest and other such thing, it should be that little bit more than that, but you see what I mean. But even then, when you think that you've got to draw off that for the rest of your life when you hit retirement, it's not that huge when you think about it, really, you know. But anyway, so that and the state pension, also private pension, so that's going to top it up that a little bit more. One of the other things that I do is I invest in precious metals, so only a little bit here and there. My advice to you, this can be a long conversation. My advice to you is stick with coins, capital gains tax-free coins. They come in fractional amounts, so don't go out and think, you know what, I'll buy a Britannia, which is an ounce of gold, which is like £3,000 now, because if ever you need to break into that when you retire, you've got to sell a whole lot. Don't look at coins as well as, you know, scarcity, and look at it as the value of the gold content. Yes, you can buy proof sets and all that, but for me, I just buy a coin for the value in the gold, and I expect the value back, not appreciation of, you know, the scarcity of the coin. So, and you can buy fractional coins, so you can buy 10th Britannias, half sovereigns, quarter sovereigns, full sovereigns, you know, half Britannia, I think it's half Britannia. So yeah, so they do fit in with your budget that little bit easier than, say, you know, buying, you know, a massive whop-off coin at the end of the year. Bars are okay, but, you know, you pay a little bit more of a premium. So if spot price is X amount, you know, sovereigns and stuff like that are normally closer to spot. But then if you were going down the route of, you know, a bar, 1 gram, 2.5, 5, 10, you know, you're paying that little bit more of a premium. I think the premium drops off the bigger the bar you get, but again, the flip side is you have to pay capital gains tax on that. Look at it as well as in, this is an investment over time. I think gold and silver have always, you know, they're always going to hold. I think silver is the closest form to like a savings, so it'll keep its value, but it's not going to go bananas. But there is room for it to go bananas, realistic. Gold has just been on a massive just upwards trajectory, and again, in hindsight, if I knew what I did now, I would have invested in precious metals when I was younger, when gold was like £30 a gram. Now it's like, I think about £100 or something like that, a little bit under, a little bit over. So yeah, hindsight's a beautiful thing. I think one of the, and again, if you're going to go down the precious metal route, gold or silver, silver's cheaper, but you know, you can hold thousands and literally thousands of pounds in your hand in gold with one hand. Silver, it's armfuls at the foul, you know what I mean? It's, yeah. But people always want gold and silver, so don't worry about it. People always want it. I think the worst thing you can do is just put money away in like a normal bank account long term, or the worst is putting money under the bed, under the mattress. You hear about it where people have put, you know, thousands away for the, you know, the emergency, whatever. But you know, if you put 10 grand away in a suitcase, bury it in your garden, and then, you know, aside from anything happening to that, but in, you know, 20 years time, that 10 grand is going to be still worth 10 grand, but you will not get as much for your 10 grand, you know, because eventually it's going down in the value. So yes, it'll be worth 10 grand, it'll always be 10 grand, but you will not get anywhere near, you know, the sort of like I said, the worst thing you can do, literally the worst thing, is just storage. You need to get your money to work for you. Just the same as with pension pot, ISA, lifetime ISA. You know, you're getting interest, you're getting something more off it. So another thing you can do, and one of the things that I want to do, is to go down the route of getting property, commercial property. Maybe that'll be a commercial property that will earn me a little bit of money, but I want to get the commercial property, so instead of paying off a storage fee, I've got my own. So when I get to retirement age, I've got that tangible asset that I think, you know what, I can either sell it, get money back, or I can rent it out and I can get a little bit of an income. So that's just some of the things, not all of them, but just some of the things. So whichever way you do it, I would definitely think about it. So as usual, guys, have a good day, keep on gardening.